Hey guys, today I want to tell you to make it smaller. So, the hardest thing about going after what you want is your fear that you won't get it. It is really unpleasant to sit in that middle space where half your brain is saying, we really want this. And the other half of your brain is saying, but there's no way that this is going to happen. When you really, really want something, and you think that you won't get it, you pre experience all of the inadequacy and sadness and disappointment that you think will happen in the future. And the pre experience of all those emotions makes you not even want to try. Not because you don't want it badly enough, or you're lazy, or you're uncommitted, or any of those things, but because your brain is trying to protect you from all those uncomfortable emotions. But here's the thing about not trying: when you don't try at all in order to protect yourself from disappointment, you guarantee that you will be disappointed, because not trying at all means that there's a 0% chance of success. And trying, even a little bit, means that there's a non zero chance of success. Now, if you're anything like me, you can know all this stuff intellectually, and still, when you sit down to actually do the work, your fear of failure flares up big time. And it's really hard to focus and problem solve and step into expert mode and do your best work. So here's my advice for when you're trying to go after that big thing that you really want and half your brain is fully panicking. I want you to make it smaller. Let me give you an example. I'm currently working on a digital course for all of you guys. I want it to be the best thing ever. I want it to provide everything you need, and I want it to have the perfect business model, and I want to make millions of dollars, and I want it to make me an icon in the coaching industry. And that is so scary to go after because my brain is terrified that I will fail. If I try to achieve everything I just said in one fell swoop, I get scared and confused, and I end up spinning around in circles. And that doesn't mean I need to edit down my ambitions. I still want all of those things. I'm still aiming for all of it. But when I freak myself out with the magnitude of my goal, all my brain sees are the problems and the unknowns and the what ifs and everything that I don't have confidence in. And if I try to answer the 1 million fear based questions that my brain has, where it's just yelling at me, what about this? And what about this? And what about that? I will lose myself in a rabbit hole of confusion and make zero progress. So instead of answering all my brain's fears, I redirect it by asking, what do I know for sure? What am I clear on? What do I have confidence in? And for me, the answer to those questions is this: I know for sure that I want to make a course, and I know for sure that I want to run 10 people through it for free. That feels doable. And it feels like a clear and compelling next step towards the overall vision that I'm trying to accomplish. And yes, there are still a ton of unknowns, but I have a place to park them. For every new question or fear or what if that my brain gives me, I can say, great question. Let's run 10 people through this course first, and that will give us so much more information that we'll be able to figure that out. So the bigger goal still freaks me out, but I don't have to focus on that. I can focus on the clear, compelling, and doable step that is right in front of me. Let me give you some more examples. So, for the first year of my business, I wrote detailed recap emails after every client session. It took me hours per client. I had to work every single weekend to get it done, and it severely limited the number of clients I could take on at any given time. And after a year, I didn't really want to do this anymore. But the thought of just stopping these emails terrified me. What if all my clients were furious at me and they demanded refunds and they told everyone that they knew how awful I was? And so I made it smaller. Rather than stopping all at once, I ran an experiment where for 20 client sessions, I emailed the client afterward and I told them, let me know if you want a write up. I basically just made the write ups on demand rather than by default. And guess what? Nobody asked for a write up. And just like that, the recap emails were gone. Let me give you another example. I would really like to drink less, Now, I love winding down with a glass of wine or two, but inevitably, when I drink, I get really snacky. I eat a bunch of junk food. I don't sleep that well. And then I wake up feeling kind of gross the next day. But the thought of never drinking ever again feels terrible. My brain is like, what about Fridays and vacations? And when you meet someone for a drink and sunny afternoons, it seems totally impossible to just stop. And so I made it smaller. I'm not drinking at this specific event that's happening tonight. That's it. After that, we'll see. Or to give you another example, my entire pivot from my corporate career to coaching was made through a series of make it smaller steps. In the beginning, all I knew was that I wanted to do something that involved writing. I wanted to help people. I wanted full intellectual independence. And oh, by the way, I also wanted to make plenty of money and not trade down on my expected post business school career trajectory in any way. Where does that exist? Trying to figure that out all at once was terrifying, and it was frankly impossible. I genuinely didn't have enough information. But at each juncture, even when 99.99% of everything was totally unknown, I could still think of one thing that I could do that was known, was compelling to me, and would move me forward. These were my steps. For the first 3 months, I made a small email list of just friends of mine, and I sent them a finished piece of writing 2 times a week. My goal was to do that 100 times and then look backwards and see what it was that I was trying to say, and then figure out how I might shape that into a career or into some kind of product. Then, for 6 months, I did a coaching certification. I practice coached with every person in my cohort every single week, and I kept writing to my email list about what I was learning. My goal was to figure out whether or not I liked coaching, whether it was actually a good fit for me and my interests, or whether I needed to find a different path that was more directly writing involved. And then after I finished my certification, I realized I did really love coaching. And then for 2 months, I coached 10 people for free for 6 weeks each. I wasn't ready to charge people yet. It was too big of a leap for me at the time. So my goal was to gain confidence and experience coaching real clients in a lower stakes environment so I could build up to starting to charge people. And even now, as I'm working on my digital course, I'm still creating those make it smaller steps as I figure out the next stage. So if you are currently caught in that middle space where half of you wants to do this so badly, and the other half of you is paralyzed with fear that you will totally flop, don't stay stuck in indecision and inaction. Instead, make it smaller. Don't look for your future spouse. That probably feels too big. Instead, make it small. Meet new people on a regular basis. Don't get funding for your startup if that feels too big. Make it small. Schedule 3 meetings with 3 different mentors to practice your pitch. Don't figure out what you want to do next in your career if that feels too big. Make it small. Have 5 coffee chats with 5 friends in different industries and ask them for their advice. Action creates clarity. Action creates motivation. And most importantly, action updates your self-image and makes you feel like you're becoming who you want to be. Making it too big keeps you stuck in inaction. Making it small gets you moving. And I don't want you to just get moving. I want you to stay moving. The path to creating the life that you actually want, the career you want, the relationships you want, the habits you want, the overall emotional experience that you want. That path is full of roadblocks and obstacles and dead ends and uncharted sections that you have to hack through yourself. And I don't say that to depress you. I say that to tell you that if you've been feeling stuck or like you're going backwards or as if you're wandering around in circles feeling confused, nothing is going wrong here. This is your journey going right. You don't need to blame yourself or second guess your decisions or squash your desires down and do what you're supposed to do. You just need to get appropriate support for the path that you're on. Nobody thinks that they're weak or uncommitted for not being able to climb Mount Everest all by themselves. Summiting Mount Everest is a journey that requires external structure and support. And in the same way, you are not weak or uncommitted or not trying hard enough if you're feeling stuck right now. The path is challenging. It genuinely does require this much problem solving to figure it out. And there are a lot of false starts and dead ends that can be tricky to navigate. It's not a you problem, it is a process problem. So adjust the process. Get yourself the support you need to keep moving forward. Come talk to me and let's get started. Go to the link above and book a free coaching consult.